Good morning. We read Isaiah chapter 33, 34, and 35. Just to put them in context, the Lord is telling the people of Jerusalem that they will be judged. The righteous need not fear because he will deliver them from that judgment. Then there are warnings to the nations who God will use, if you raise your hand against the Lord's anointed, you yourself will face judgment. And finally, there's a promise of deliverance. So that's just given a sort of overview of these chapters. But there are some beautiful verses in there. The Lord is exalted, for he dwells on high. He will fill Zion with his justice and righteousness. He will be the sure foundation for your times, a rich store of salvation and wisdom and knowledge. The fear of the Lord is the key to this treasure. God is going to bless his people. He is the sure foundation for your times. Whatever goes on, whatever the Lord brings into your life, whatever is going on in the world, whatever sorts of times you live in, the Lord is your sure foundation. He is the store of salvation and wisdom and knowledge. It is the Lord who sees us through. When brave men cry in the streets, the Lord is your sure foundation. Whatever you're facing today, build and rely on the foundation of the Lord. And then down at the end in chapter 35, it says, and a highway will be there. It is called the way of holiness. It will be for those who walk on that way. And here is first the prophecy meant to the people who first heard it, that he was going to bring back those who were righteous, those who were obedient to the law. He would bring them along the highway into Jerusalem. But for us, it speaks of the way of salvation, that it's a way of holiness. It's not cheap grace. We believe that when God's grace comes into our life, it causes us to be changed, that we live holy lives. And real salvation is evidenced by holiness of life. And so those who are walking on the way of salvation, the narrow way, are walking on the way of holiness. Those who are on their way to heaven are not the unclean or wicked fools. Those who are on their way to heaven are those who are walking on the way of holiness. They're protected there by the Lord. We're redeemed by the Lord. We're saved by him to walk in a holy way. And one day we enter into Zion, where everlasting joy will crown our heads, and gladness and joy will be our portion, and sorrow and sighing will flee away. As it says at the end of the previous chapter, that in that great city, there will be no sickness there. No one will say, I am ill. For the Lord delivers his people and brings them to a promised land, a place of blessing. And the way to get there is to be redeemed by him, to be saved, and then to walk in holiness. Let's strive to stay on the way of holiness today, protected by the Lord and carried along by him.